Hello, everybody. Welcome to Torn Tuesday. This is your weekly dose of all things Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, Tolkien, movies, books, games, TV shows now. I'm your host, Justin. We've been doing this show for close to 8 years. Can you believe that? And let me do the math. 50 weeks a year times 8, 400 episodes. Gosh, we're coming up on 400 episodes. Probably more than that because we've streamed live from Comic-Con before it was cool. And we streamed live from Dragon Con when it was cool because Dragon Con still doesn't stream anything. We streamed live from the road, and many of you discovered us on our epic road trips across America when we met up with fans all across America. We were sponsored by Lord of the Rings War in the North. Remember that game? We drove cross country thanks to their support, and gosh, I'm ready to do it again with my mask on, of course. But I'm ready to get out there and meet you guys at a safe distance when it will be okay, because I don't think conventions are coming back anytime soon. Just because I see the chat room is here. Ellen, hi. Kaylin, you're a piece of my heart right there. Arnie. I want to call you Arnie because it sounds like Army Hammer, who is one of my favorite actors. Arnie. Okay. Andrew is in there. Ivalise Oyola Pintado. Greetings from Puerto Rico. We used to have a tech guy from Puerto Rico, and he was wonderful. He's one of the best volunteers that we ever had with the One Ring. Edwin, hello. Jamie Martinez, or is it Jaime Martinez? Hello there. Hello there. That's a Star Wars quote. It's so wonderful to be here with you. I'm going to open the Skype. If you guys want to Skype me, the phone number, the Skype is right there. The One Ring Net. It's all one word. It's the same on all of our socials, but you search for the One Ring Net. Give me a Skype. I'll try to bring you in, okay? My eyes are going to be looking all over the screen because it's just me. So the big news of the week is San Diego Comic-Con is officially happening online only. The plan is to do the 4 days plus preview night in a digital streaming event. They haven't said anything more than they're doing that, and that is the week of July 22nd through 26th. So it's at the end of the July. We have been asked to participate. The OneRing.net has been asked to participate. So we have something special for that planned that I can't wait to do. So Comic-Con is happening July 22nd through 26th. Is going to be online only. I have a feeling, this is total conjecture, I have a feeling that if you've ever watched Coachella, you know, they stream Coachella on YouTube. And remember how you can have like 3 different stages at Coachella and you can watch whoever's performing? And for like basically 3 days, Coachella takes over YouTube. I have a feeling that San Diego Comic-Con, as the biggest pop culture convention in the world, is going to do something similar. Maybe it's on YouTube as well. And maybe there's 3 different stages and everything like that. So, So we're gonna be excited to participate in that, and looking forward to bringing together some of our wonderful staff members and wonderful people. Now is a good time to raise your hand and join the OneRing.net. If you haven't joined our message boards or are regular in our comments here, I recognize a lot of your names, by the way, and a lot of fresh new names have become regulars over the quarantine season, and I appreciate you. But now is the time, as we look to the future of fandom and Amazon's Lord of the Rings series and Extreme Director's Edition re-release of Fellowship of the Ring in 2021. I don't know what's happening, but now is a good time to raise your hand and say, I want to help. I want to participate. I can bring value to this community. We are a website that has lasted for 20 years on the backs of volunteers like Cliff and like everybody else, and like some people in the chat room here. And if you're a web developer, if you're a designer, if you know Photoshop, if you plan events, if you are good at hosting things, if you have an idea for a podcast, or you're doing a podcast now and you want to be a part of our little group. I mean, the One Ring has been going for 20 years and we want to go for 20 more. And now is the time to raise your hand and say, I can be a part of it. We've got a hotline, Torn Hotline. I got a phone call. Let's answer it. Hi, who's calling?
Hey, Justin, it's Brennan.
Hey, Brennan. It's so good to hear your voice. It's been so long since we've talked.
Good to hear you, too.
How is quarantine treating you, Brennan?
I'm actually doing okay. And all my movies are keeping me going.
How many times have you watched or read The Lord of the Rings?
A couple of times.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Anytime I start to get down, I just put the movies on and everything's right with the world again, thanks to Samwise.
They definitely cheer you up, yeah.
So
I was...
Go ahead. What brings you to the show?
I was thinking with everything going on with the protests about racial equality, I think it becomes more important that film reflect that. And I remember that we were having the discussion about the Amazon series, and it looked like the cast was surprisingly diverse.
Yes, sir.
And I think that now is a good time for that. And I honestly don't feel that it would be out of place. I think it would fit very well in Lord of the Rings. And I think that now is a good time to do that.
I do too. I think the time was 20 years ago, but the time is definitely now.
Yeah, that's true.
The culture has caught up with it. I think culture overall is ready for it. Let me ask you this. How do you reconcile this desire of inclusiveness in Tolkien's world with Tolkien himself, who famously based Lord of the Rings on a lot of mythologies of Scandinavia?
Yeah. It's an interesting question. I think that when we were discussing Numenorians, I think you made a good point in the fact that Numenorians being kind of Mediterranean, maybe Middle Eastern, maybe, having more of a darker look. And I think that Tolkien, you could interpret his writing, especially his description of Aragorn, as being more in keeping with a Southern European look. And that's why I think if the Numenorians are played by more Middle Eastern, Southern European actors, I think it would actually fit just fine.
I agree. I'm glad you brought that up, and I'm glad that you're one of the people that are taking the right message from these protests, these nonviolent protests for the most part.
Yes, exactly.
And I appreciate you supporting, and I think you're in the right headspace that I hope a lot of Tolkien fans get to in preparation for Amazon's Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Justin.
All right, it's good to hear from you. I'm gonna
Good to hear from you too.
Open it up, and we'll talk soon. Thanks, Brendan.
Talk to you later.
All right, guys, the Torn Hotline. That's really my phone. It's really my phone. It goes right to my phone, so you can give me a call. 530-64 is my real phone number. Yeah, call me, or you can Skype me. Skype is open. Mira Christine says, I was a former member of the One Ring. What does that mean? Kaylin Griffin. So you guys have joined the One Ring if you're a part of our Facebook page, if you follow us on anything. So if you have a desire to get more involved and help create a fan community that represents you and your desires and everything, again, we're just a community of ideas. Raise your hand and give us a shout and DM us. We got another phone call on the hotline. Oh man, they hung up. I'm sorry. I missed your phone call. Dylan says he's reading the Lost Tales right now. People in the chat room are saying new Lord of the Rings books. Well, boy, oh boy, let me show you. 3, 2, 1. That's the chat room. I meant to show you. Hold on. I meant to show you this. How you like me now? A new Houghton Mifflin Harcourt edition of the books are coming out with new covers, and isn't this wonderful? All right, we got another call on the hotline. I'm going to answer it right now. Hi, who's calling?
Hi, it's Arna.
Arna, what's going on?
Yeah, you said my name wrong. It's Norwegian. It's like Viggo Mortensen.
Oh, man, I am sorry for butchering your name. I totally did not even get close to your name.
Oh, that's totally all right. How are you doing?
I'm doing.
Just wanted to be part of your chat.
Yeah, I'm doing well. We are all safe. California here is starting to open up, and I just love seeing the community and the camaraderie and a lot of familiar names week to week. So I appreciate you being one of our regulars.
Oh, that's very nice. I Skyped you guys months ago a few images of ideas, like a cast of actors that I thought would look good for certain roles, and thought maybe you want to check it out.
Okay. Yeah, let me. I will. I have to dig into the archives on Skype somewhere, but I'll check that out. Yeah, and I'll hit you back on those.
I mean, I'm sorry I can't Skype in because my Skype account is busted. I mean, it's been busted for weeks, so.
I know.
I try.
I have the same issues. So, but if you get back on Skype at some point, keep sending us. And you can even tweet at us if you have Twitter. You can tweet at us photos of people you think would be good for certain characters, because let's inspire Amazon as much as we can.
Yeah, get Charles Dance in the Amazon show as either the Witch King or Arthur on King of Numenor.
Yep. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm making a new YouTube blog, Amazon's Lord of the Rings TV series ideas, episode number 2.
Very good.
Yeah.
So you're staying busy. You're staying active in the middle of COVID. Like, you're just creating.
Yeah, I never stop selecting images and always doing similarities. I even printed a cast binder of actors that I thought would look great and selected the specific images to help show the similarities between this actor and the character from the Middle-earth. So.
Awesome. You know, if you have a Twitter account, or if you started a Twitter account and started tweeting some of these pictures of actors and reasons why they would be good, I think there'd be something special. I think you'd really find an audience on Twitter.
All right. Let me try and log in. I already have a Twitter account. So.
Awesome. Make sure to tag us. All right. I'm gonna let you go, but it's great to hear from you, Arna. Right? Did I say that?
Scott Broadway, I said hello then.
I will. Thank you for calling.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Guys, again, our phone number 530-64-FRODO. People in the chat room are reminding me right now that you could be watching The Desolation of Smaug on TNT right now, and Battle of the Five Armies is up right after that. Honestly, Desolation of Smaug, if I'm going to be honest, it's probably the biggest disappointment of all Lord of the Rings movies, and I'm including Ralph Bakshi, and I'm including the sequel, Return of the King animated. There was so much potential for Desolation of Smaug. Now, allegedly, Cliff says that the extended edition of Desolation of Smaug solves a lot of the issues. But, man, I was so hyped for Desolation of Smaug. And we can do a whole episode of this. I'm just going to leave it at this. The Desolation of Smaug. The name of the film is Desolation of Smaug. And at the end of the movie, we neither see desolation by Smaug, nor do we see desolation of Smaug. So that entire title, The Desolation of Smaug, is a false promise. So I'll just leave it at that. Hey guys, you can watch that on TNT right now. If you got cable here on Two Towers, it was on TV in France tonight. Thank you, Anka Moon, for reminding us that this is a global audience. Two Towers, again, that is my favorite of all Middle-earth movies. I can watch that any time, day or night, twice on Sundays. I love it. Nigel Champion says, I personally was not a fan of the Hobbit trilogy. I thought they didn't hold as much substance or heart as Lord of the Rings. That argument I will make for the book. So take that exact comment that you made and apply it to the book, and it still holds true. Just gonna leave that. Guys, let me show you this. The Fellowship of the Ring is a beautiful cover, but the Two Towers, how are you gonna have a book called The Two Towers and only draw one tower? It looks cool though. I really like this. And then The Return of the King is probably my favorite of the new Houghton Mifflin Harcourt. Always a tough name to pronounce, the publisher. U.S. Houghton Mifflin Harcourt, Return of the King. I believe this will be available in paperback. You know, for paperback editions and paperback price, I might have to just pick these up because they look great. Great. So I'm excited for those new books. So that's new Tolkien. Guys, that's not the only new book that's out. Let's go to the tape. Where is it? Oh. Here we go. The Worlds of J.R.R. Tolkien, just released from Princeton University Press. You want this book. Price is $29.95, 25 pounds. $29.95 US, 25 pounds UK. I always like how UK just rounds out the dollar and often doesn't charge tax. Like it's 25, you pay 25. Here in the US, they always do 29.95 and then there's tax. So then it ends up being 33.47. And it's like, that's not what you told me to pay. Free shipping worldwide with code FREEF. FREEF is a code, and you can get this shipped free. The Worlds of J.R.R. Tolkien by scholar John Garth. We're trying to get him on the show pretty soon because I want to talk about this. This is real life locations that Tolkien visited himself that may have served as the actual inspirations for some of the fictional locations in the books that he wrote. Well researched, and I want to go deep into this book with John Garth pretty soon. Actually, I shouldn't do it. Cliff should. So that is another book, and then, gosh, you know, let's go to what else? There was another book that is out. Trying to find it. Look at this. J.R.R. Tolkien, A Secret Vice. Edited by Demetra Feeney and Andrew Higgins. Demetra is one of the most valuable Twitter follows you can make on Twitter. Follow Demetra Feeney. She wrote a book called J.R.R. Tolkien, A Secret Vice. Tolkien on the invented language. On invented languages. Sorry. When it comes to linguistic importance like Tolkien. I should not add or remove words to my liking. So, Tolkien, J.R.R. Tolkien, A Secret Vice, Tolkien on Invented Languages. This is a book you want to read. You definitely want to pick that up. And of course, there's John Garth Rider, The Worlds of J.R.R. Tolkien. Gosh. All right. I've given you 2 things to read. I think there's more. Let me see. There is. I've got more books coming. Hold on. I'm looking for it. Oh, here we go. Look at this. Here's a preview of some of the illustrations that are referenced in John Garth's book. The Sea of Dreams, the Elfin Sound, the Fortunate Isles. Come on. An ancient map of fairyland. Are you kidding? This is great. An ancient map of fairyland. Did Tolkien really? By Tolkien's contemporary Bernard Slay. Okay, so that's not by Tolkien, but I believe it's part of the book. So there is so many. There's so much to read. Anka says that is so pretty. Yes, it is. Shad Damon. Where's Cliff and Chelsea? Everyone is super busy right now. Cliff is now traveling since quarantine finally opened. Cliff had to go to lands unknown, and I've tried to reach out to him, but I don't know if he has signal wherever he's at. But I know they are staying safe. And Chelsea is super busy. She's been doing a lot of digital events and stuff like this. So we try to get people on the show whenever we can. Last week we had author Kelly Rice, which was a wonderful conversation. I hope you enjoyed that. What else do we have? Oh my gosh, guys, we have gaming news. It's not just books that are coming out. There are multiple video games coming out using the Lord of the Rings license. One game coming from the movie license. This is from WB Games. Warner Brothers presents The Lord of the Rings, The Rise to War. This will be based on the work of Weta Workshop and Peter Jackson's films. As you can see, that shot of Minas Tirith and the armies of Mordor ahead of it is straight from the movies. So this game will be based on movies. It's mobile first. It is a mobile first strategy game. Now, a lot of people are saying mobile games are stupid and I don't feel like playing it. Well, guess what? I'm totally converted. I've got an iPad. I've got an iPhone. My niece, she's 8 years old. She doesn't even know how to hold a controller. She's mobile first. She's got her tablet. We limit the number of hours that she plays on her tablet, but she only plays games on the tablet. So this game is going to look great. It's going to be for mobile, an iPad, touch devices, Android. It's going to be based on the movie. It's a strategy game. Do not discount the effectiveness and fun of a mobile game. I'm really excited for this. And then if you, I don't know if I have a picture of it, but there's another game coming out called Gollum, all about Gollum. You play as Gollum, and the interesting game mechanic of this is Gollum's, of course, going to have 2 personalities. So throughout the game, you're going to be presented choices of how to interact with an enemy or a path to take. And do you choose what Smeagol will choose, or do you choose what Gollum would do? So it basically puts you, the player, in control of the mind of Smeagol. Do you play as Smeagol? Do you play as Gollum? Do you play as a mixture of each, depending on the situation? I'm really excited for this. And the interesting thing about Gollum is it is licensed from the Tolkien estate itself. Has nothing to do with the movies. It will not look like Andy Serkis. It will not sound like Andy Serkis. It's going to be for all next gen PlayStation, Xbox, PC, maybe Switch. I don't know. But I'm really excited about a book-based game. Someone that's taken the book license and pursuing a whole storyline from Gollum's perspective. Can you imagine playing the entire War of the Ring story? From the game starts with Gollum being captured and leaking the name Baggins and Shire. That's where the game starts. Can you imagine playing the entire Lord of the Rings story specifically from Gollum's perspective? I'm so excited. Gosh, that sounds so exciting. And because they're not using the movie license, I feel like there's a lot of opportunity to expand the story. Now, I will remind you, Tolkien himself wanted this to happen. Tolkien wanted other minds using drama and music and other forms of creativity to explore Middle Earth. So this is all right in line. So I'm really excited for Gollum, and I'm excited for Lord of the Rings Rise to War, the mobile game. So, books, movies is next. Books, games, movies. Yes, I said movies. Look at this. This picture is from the Weta stages in Wellington. The very first film studio to be back at work post-COVID, or in a COVID world, is Weta Digital and the work they're doing with James Cameron's Avatar. Let me repeat that. Because I feel it's significant. Because we all know the quality of Weta, but the quality of New Zealand's leadership and coming out of quarantine safe and healthy and early, and now Weta is the first soundstage in the world back to work. God, doesn't that warm your heart, man? Like, Weta's doing it. Weta's leading the charge again in how do you create the new era of filmmaking with the new rules in place. Weta changed the world with Lord of the Rings. Weta was doing stuff with Massive and all the digital stuff, and then all the bigatures and everything like that. Weta set the standard for fantasy filmmaking from the year 2000 all the way till now. They set the standard. And now here they are setting the standard again in running a safe production. And look at that. For the most part, everyone is 6 feet apart. Look at that. For the most part, everybody's 6 feet apart. You can see people wearing... everyone's got plexiglass masks. You can see their headbands and plexiglass masks. So here is a set where everybody has masks and face shields, and they're getting back to work. Guys, this is just so exciting. Isn't it exciting that all of this is happening? It just is. And you know, that's not the only news. Lord of the Rings has announced when they're coming back. Amazon's Lord of the Rings series is returning to filming in September, possibly October, September-October timeframe. This is breaking news. And it aligns with everything we've been telling you guys for months. We told you that the original plan was they were going to shoot the pilot, take the summer off, and then return to New Zealand in September and October. And that's exactly what's going on. But instead of finishing the pilot, everyone went home and went under quarantine. So officially, Amazon resumes shooting next week. And gosh, I know y'all are gonna give me heat for linking to the Daily Mail, but they did get a scoop. Morfydd Clark is a Welsh actress. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Galadriel. This is your new Galadriel. This is young Galadriel. Cliff hates it that I call her young Galadriel. But what else are we supposed to call her? That is Galadriel. That's the actress playing Galadriel. And she's playing a younger Galadriel. Period. End of story. Clark has been in New Zealand since October of last year. She's been stuck in quarantine in New Zealand. I mean, the drama of being stuck in New Zealand. Whew, we could all be so lucky. So she says, and I quote, "Every day your jaw drops on the floor again. His imagination is just wild." Again, let's talk about what she said. J.A. Bayona is directing the pilot of The Lord of the Rings. He's not the showrunner. He's only doing the pilot. Only so far. He's only doing the pilot. And the lead character is Galadriel, and the actress playing Galadriel says, "Every day your jaw drops on the floor again. His imagination is just wild." Whew. Guys, this is probably the most exciting thing I've heard since Amazon announced the show. We've all been wondering what type of effort is being put into Amazon. Besides being a $1 billion budget, do they have the right creative people? Do they have the right respect for Tolkien? Do they have fidelity to Tolkien? And do they have the creative chops? Have they contracted Weta Workshop and the design experts there? Man, a lot of unknown answers to that. So this is our first time that anyone affiliated with Amazon's Lord of the Rings series has said anything about the creativity that's being produced in Auckland. Again, every day your jaw drops on the floor again. His imagination is just wild. Guys, that is from Welsh actress Morfydd Clark, who is going to play Galadriel. So there's I'm excited, man. I'm excited. So what do you guys think? The chat room is open. What's going on in the chat room? Do we know how old Galadriel actually is? Yeah, she's pretty old. She's like 4,000 years old. So take away 1,000 years between the second and third age. A lot of hardcore fans, what we like to call Tolkien fundamentalists, will insist that Galadriel in the second age should look no different than Galadriel in the third age. I personally don't agree with that, and I am totally on board with a 20-something Galadriel finding her way through the second age in the fall of Numenor. Is she married with children and separated from them? Christina, that's a great question. No, she is 20-something. I want to say she's 27. She's in her 20s. She's single zero, no kids. She gave up her flat in Wales to move to New Zealand. So she technically doesn't really have a home. I guess that would make her living with her parents. I mean, her stuff is at her parents' house right now. And for the holidays, she was expecting to be back in New Zealand, be back in Wales to go summer camping with her parents. So that kind of tells you where she's at in life. So it is definitely younger Galadriel. Camilla says, didn't Cliff say that they have gotten all the creative rights for Peter Jackson? Yes, as part of the original deal, Amazon bought out everything from Warner Brothers, Saul Zaentz, Weinstein Company, everything. Amazon has full reign to play in whatever playground using whatever creative. They choose to make this second age part of Peter Jackson's world, or they can choose not to. I think it's a mistake if they don't. So, Ellen reminds us that Morfydd Clark, who plays Galadriel, the lead character, was in the recent HBO show His Dark Materials. If you want a taste of Galadriel, a taste of the actress that plays Galadriel, queue up HBO Max, and watch His Dark Materials. She's in the show. She's wonderful. Watch it. It's a great show. It's a great show. Also, what a way to rescue the movie. His Dark Materials is a TV show based on the books that the movie The Golden Compass was based on. And The Golden Compass is the movie that ruined New Line Cinema. See how we bring this all back? So New Line Cinema had done everything in the 80s from Nightmare on Elm Street, I believe, to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I mean, they got it. They were so cool. New Line Cinema was so cool. Then they did Lord of the Rings and just crushed it. And for whatever reason, they got the Golden Compass as their next big fantasy franchise after the Lord of the Rings came out. And that movie was just, man. They even used Ian McKellen as a voice in the Golden Compass, and I don't know, man. It missed a key message of the book. I think the Golden Compass movie was afraid of having kids as bad guys. Does that make sense? Does anyone in the chat room agree with me? What do you guys think of what was the biggest crux of the Golden Compass? Why did it fail? Because the TV show that we just mentioned Galadriel is in is totally different. It's a total reset, and it's good. And I will say this. I feel about Golden Compass how I just said that they were afraid of making children bad guys or bad people. They were afraid of showing children making bad decisions and being the antagonist. The same failures, the same faults can be applied to Disney's Artemis Fowl, who it's now on Disney Plus, and it just feels like the studio got scared of having a main character that is a bad guy, an antagonist. And if you read the books Artemis Fowl is based on, the main character is a bad guy. He's not a good guy. But you don't see that you don't get that in the movie. So, Kaylin Griffin, thank you for validating my opinions. So, thank you. Shad Jamin says, I had to bring up HBO Max. I hear most DC movies are already being pulled. I don't subscribe, but how will we see the Snyder Cut? You know, I think HBO Max is still trying to figure out how to manage their library of content. Because here's the thing. If you follow any film blog, you'll know that every month on the first of the month, every streaming service adds new content and loses new content. You know, it's like that's why you can't see the Hobbit trilogy on Netflix. You know, it's like different movies jump different ways, and I think that's what's going on with the DC movies being pulled from HBO Max. I think they're going to be assigned for a short while, maybe for a year or so, to another streaming service. Nancy says HBO's His Dark Materials is a really close representation of the books. I was really drawn to it. Yes. Aerovandi, great to see your name. Great to hear from you, even though I don't hear you. I watched Artemis Fowl last night and thought it was okay. It definitely seemed like they took it a different direction from what I heard the books are. Okay, so someone that hasn't read the books thought it was okay. Something to put on. Something to put on in the background while you're cooking dinner or something like that. That's what's going on. Guys, so we've talked about new Tolkien books. We've talked about new Tolkien video games. We've talked about Tolkien TV shows. What are we missing? We're missing Tolkien collectibles. Look at this beautiful Weta Workshop Witch King mini epic. If you guys don't know, Weta Workshop created a line that they called mini epics, and it is Funko is an unfair comparison because it's much more it's not standardized like Funko, but imagine the size of a Funko. These things are mini epics. They're about this size, right? They're cartoony, so it's a whole new aesthetic to Lord of the Rings. And Weta Workshop has been putting these out. They've got most of the characters, and this is the Witch King mini epic. Doesn't this picture just make you want one? Doesn't it? So that's courtesy of Mila Malinalda, who's a wonderful follow on Twitter. I mean, just look at the detail in Weta Workshop's mini epics. So I really feel that, can you imagine Weta Workshop taking their Lord of the Rings mini epic line and making an animated CGI animated series for Amazon Prime using the cartoony characters of their mini epics? I want to see it. I don't think we necessarily need to retell the Fellowship of the Ring story, but I think there's a lot of stories that we can tell before and after the War of the Ring using the mini epic aesthetic. I want to see an animated series from Weta Workshop, don't you? They did a dragon TV show, and then they did Thunderbirds Are Go. So Weta Workshop is very familiar. Weta Digital is very familiar with doing TV shows. So Collectibles, man, can you believe it? So there's just it's just so much fun, And then I don't know if you've been following us. I don't know how long you've been following us, but this week is the anniversary, 7th year anniversary of the Happy Hobbits reacting to the Desolation of Smaug trailer, which set the world on fire. Peter Jackson showed their video to Orlando, Lee Pace, and Evangeline Lilly on set and got their reaction, and it was just magical. Wasn't it just magical? The whole Happy Hobbit phenomenon. Next thing you know, the video is being shown on CNN, and it was shown on the Tonight Show, and then fast forward, and Weta Workshop actually hired Kelly Rice to work with them in New Zealand, and she moved to New Zealand. I mean, isn't that the story we always dream of? Like, we show our passion for Lord of the Rings. We show our passion for Tolkien, as Happy Hobbit did. The video goes viral. Peter Jackson recognizes the fandom and acknowledges him by doing a reaction to the reaction with the stars of the movie, Orlando Bloom, Evangeline Lee Pace. And it becomes a moment. And Kelly had just an education and degrees, and she had published her own books, and she had the quality to land a job at Weta, and then she moved to New Zealand. So from the viral video of being a geeky fan to working at Weta, I mean, isn't that the dream? What's your dream? What, you guys, chat room, please. What is your dream? What is your ultimate goal with your fandom? Is there no goal? Maybe we're such a goal-oriented society that there shouldn't be any goal. It's just existing in this community is what it is. It's the journey, not the destination. It's the existence, not the journey. I don't know. Everyone, that's what's lovely about this community. People just stick around for a long time. So back to what I was originally saying at the top of the show. If you think you can contribute, if you have anything to contribute to the community, maybe you want to write articles once a week or every week or once a month or something, or you want to contribute, you want to spend several weeks writing a long form essay on the validity of Elrond's position in context of his history with the lives of men. I don't know if you've got some scholarship, if there's stuff that you want to publish, create, please reach out, hit us up, DM us on Instagram and Twitter. You can our contact info is on the website, theonering.net. There's a contact us. You can email us, webmaster@theonering.net, and just tell us how you want to contribute, because I think this community has a lot to offer, and I think one of the reasons we're still around after all these years is because people like you who have been a participant, like the Happy Hobbits. They were just a couple girls living on a farm. I mean, their latest video is like hatching chicks. They still live on a farm, but the fact that they did their thing, and then she worked at Weta. I mean, just whatever you want to do. Like, let's do this. Let's do this together. You know, we've got so many things to do. So raise your hand. Find a way to reach out to us. You know, you don't have to do it publicly, but yeah, like, do you want to be the person that breaks the news? If you see something posted on Twitter and you want to write an article about the latest news or rumors about the Amazon series, do you want to do the after show? Do you want to do recaps? Do you want to screenshot every single scene in the TV show episode by episode and give recaps and like, what do you, if you guys want to do anything, if you want to help redesign the website or make the message boards look better or something, or run a Discord for the community, let's do it, man. Let's do it. Cliff and I have been doing this show for close to 8 years. I mean, 400 episodes. I haven't even had any relationships that are longer than that, are as long as 4 years. So it's I think the One Ring is just, is a collective that is just wants to make cool things, and I think that's one thing. That's just what we've done, like, Nicholas says, I would read an encyclopedia about Middle Earth written by Elrond. That's great. I would too. There needs to be more bands writing songs about Middle Earth. I think you can't be better than Led Zeppelin and Rush. You know, you can't get any better than that. Did you guys see the video we posted? We shared from our buddy John Ruddy, who is in Scotland. I believe he's in Scotland. But he edited Peter Jackson's movies to Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Tolkien. Look for it on our Facebook and our Twitter. It's on YouTube. Look up Stairway to Tolkien. It's great. The editing's great. He chose the right shots. It's only a fan could do that, because we know Led Zeppelin doesn't give the rights to any of their songs, and Warner Brothers doesn't give the rights to any of their movies. So John Reddy, as a fan, just did it. Blind Guardian. Oh, you know what? All right, we got a few minutes left. Here, let me see if I can find this. Okay. You guys want to talk about you guys want to talk about bands and music. I agree. I think we totally should have a music editor. I totally want a music editor at the OneRing.net. And even if there is no new music, did you guys see the episode we did recently with author Doug Adams about music of The Hobbit? Anyway, there's a lot of young fans who were introduced to Tolkien through the Hobbit movies, just for an age thing, that have never heard of Rush, and have never heard some of the bands you're talking about. So, do you want to be the music editor of the OneRing.net? Do you want to post an article maybe every week, maybe every 2 weeks, that goes into a deep dive on a certain music artist that we know was inspired by Tolkien? I that's content I want to read, and you guys obviously want to read it. Who can write that? Green Dragon Gossip. You know, I like that name. Do you want to start that column, Green Dragon Gossip? Honestly, I think the OneRing.net and maybe our Reddit reputation would be stronger if we positioned every rumor as Green Dragon Gossip. Actually, you know what Green Dragon Gossip could be? It shouldn't be rumors about the TV show. It should be, Green Dragon Gossip should be like updates on the lives of all the actors that have worked on Lord of the Rings, which there are dozens and dozens and dozens, right? So what if like Green Dragon Gossip was like TMZ, but only for Tolkien actors? Like, hey, what did Carl Urban do today? You know, oh, who was Sean Astin spotted with? By the way, he's got a baby coming. He's gonna be a daddy. Elijah Wood. I think that could be a fun panel. You know, there's so much going on. Did you know that Dominic Monaghan has been interviewing a lot of several of his fellow Lord of the Rings actors on Instagram? Instagram only. Like, I feel like a lot of people don't know that because they're not on Instagram, and people didn't know that. So, who wants to start Green Dragon Gossip column? Who wants to start that? I don't have time, but I feel like there might you might have some time. You know, I know when the One Ring started 20 years ago, a lot of us were in college or had just graduated, or were still in college or still in high school maybe. So we had a lot of free time. A lot of us, we're all nerds. We didn't go out drinking and partying on the weekends and at nights. We were literally at home, in the dorm room, posting videos. Remember ICQ? We used to search ICQ for accounts that were active in Wellington, New Zealand, and we'd like cold call him on ICQ. You know, we just like ding and say, "Hi, I'm with the One Ring. Do you know anything going on with the Lord of the Rings?" And we would find some juicy gossip there. But I like the idea of Green Dragon Gossip keeping tabs on all the Lord of the Rings actors. How many Tolkien actors transferred to the MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe? A lot. A lot. Ellen just pulled up Stairway to Tolkien, and it looks awesome. Seriously, Ellen, after this show, as soon as this show ends, you guys need to go to YouTube, search up Stairway to Tolkien, and watch it. The song is 8 minutes long. It's not something that you can see, but just sit back, press play, and just sit back and enjoy it. Back to music, guys. I put this out maybe 10 years ago, and what if the One Ring put together a Coachella-like festival that was 2 days of Tolkien music? Now, again, this is 10 years ago, so several of these people are now dead, unfortunately. The sands of time have taken some of these wonderful people. But imagine a music fest called Barlabash, a musical tribute to J.R.R. Tolkien, with headlined. Think of this like Coachella, with like rolling hills and picnics and everything. Imagine Emiliana Torini and Howard Shore performing the soundtrack. Guys, every single person on this flyer is a huge Lord of the Rings fan, has either written music, sung music, charted with music, or participated in the community in a deep, deep level. I'm not joking. All of these people were carefully selected to put this together. Ed Sheeran, of course, sang the sounds, sang the musical credits song to Desolation of Smaug. Again, we're talking about Desolation of Smaug, which is on TNT tonight. If you have cable TV in the U.S., the Desolation of Smaug and Battle of the Five Armies are on tonight. You could be watching them right now. Turn on your TV. But look at this. Can you believe how many people we've lost in just the few years since I posted this flyer? Every single person on this was alive when I made this, and it's kind of gutting now that I'm looking at it. How many people we lost. Christopher Lee was singing all the way to the end. He was putting out heavy metal records with Charlemagne. It's crazy. Christopher Lee's not here. Leonard Nimoy's not here. Man. Guys. So, look. There is so much going on. Neil Peart. Oh my gosh. You just reminded me of Neil Peart from Rush. Not here. Wow. Any word on the 4K versions of the movies? We look to the future. We look to 2021. There is a rumored unicorn edition that has stuff that was not featured in the movies. If you thought the extended edition was long, what about a director's special extended edition? There is, let me see if I can bring it up. Many of you may have seen this. Many of you may have seen this. But to give you a sense of some of the things that have not been seen, they filmed Frodo turning into Gollum. I believe it was a flash forward, a scene. Maybe it was at Galadriel's mirror, when Galadriel says, "Things that have not yet come to pass." They did the whole makeup. They filmed it. There's a ton of stuff that they filmed that we haven't seen yet. So, even if you haven't seen this, even if we don't get this in a special new edition of Lord of the Rings, there is a new documentary. Imagine if we got new appendices that go deep into. What if we saw Stuart Townsend's performance as Aragorn? We haven't seen that yet. He was on set for a week and a half. They filmed with Stuart Townsend before they replaced him with Viggo Mortensen. There's a lot to be shown, and I think the Unicorn edition of Lord of the Rings, which we anticipate for 2021, we anticipate it to be 4K, and we anticipate it to be an HBO Max exclusive. Right? Won't you sign up for HBO Max if they put the new extended edition appendices? New appendices that show Stuart Townsend and show these things? Would you sign up? I would sign up. All right, so let's a little recap. We showed you new covers of Lord of the Rings. Yes, we did. New covers of Tolkien's Lord of the Rings trilogy. I love that one the best. We showed you the worlds of J.R.R. Tolkien. We showed you the new mobile game based on the movie of Lord of the Rings. We showed you, it's called Lord of the Rings Rise to War. We talked about the new Gollum video game based on the book license. What will you choose? Will you be a Gollum or will you be a Smeagol? I think I would be, I don't know. I don't want to admit what I think I would be. We showed you Weta is the first studio in the world to resume production. Congratulations to Weta. Congratulations to everyone in New Zealand. And yeah, so we showed you toys from Weta Workshop. We showed you television updates. We gave you movie updates. We gave you Amazon updates, video game updates, book updates. Yeah, gave you everything. So thank you for joining us. This is Torn Tuesday. It's always wonderful to be joined by our regulars here in the chat. You did not bring up Amazon's new MMORPG. You're right. And when I have more information on that, because I've heard that development has been tough, troublesome, and I don't know the status of development on that. You would think that with E3 that just came out, the PlayStation announcement, and all of the video game announcements that were made in the last 2 weeks, because E3 was supposed to happen last week. E3 was supposed to happen last week, the big video game convention. The fact that there's been no mention of that MMORPG being developed under license to Amazon, you think we would have heard something. I mean, Gollum had a full magazine treatment. So there's nothing to report, and maybe I mean, if they don't like what they're seeing, look, don't put out a crappy game. Amazon, please. Everything's on the line. If the game isn't working, move on. Don't put out a crappy game. Lord of the Rings has been privileged to have so many wonderful games. I would argue that Two Towers, and more importantly, Return of the King, is probably the greatest Xbox and PlayStation co-op game ever made. Best co-op game ever made, Return of the King. I would argue that The War in the North, Battle for Middle-earth, 1 and 2 was good. I thought the next gen Xbox and PlayStation game, what was it, Shadows of Mordor and Shadows of War, were one of the best current generation video games. You are doing yourself a disservice by not playing Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War. You can probably pick up Game of the Year editions for $20 now. You can probably download it on officially for $20. Play Shadow of Mordor, Shadow of War. It's worth it. It's really good. So I feel like Return of the King was one of the best Xbox and PlayStation 2 games ever made. Best of that generation. I feel like the best of this generation includes Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War. Best of this generation. So we have a history of having some of the best video games in the whole industry attributed to Middle Earth. So Amazon, take your time, get it right, and give us something great. You've got all the money in the world. You can afford to cancel a game halfway through. You're the richest company in the history of the world, run by the richest man in the history of the world. You can afford to cancel bad games. That's quality. Tolkien famously took 40 years to write Lord of the Rings. The Hobbit, 1937. Lord of the Rings, 1947, 52, 54. You guys correct me, 54, right? 37 to 54, 25 years. That's a long time between books. So Tolkien took his time to get it right. Amazon can take their time to get it right. And we gave you updates on Morfydd Clark talking about the creative that she is seeing on set with J.A. Bayona's Amazon Lord of the Rings series. I'm excited. Guys, Torn Tuesday, thank you for joining us. See you next week. I'm going to try to find Cliff. If you see him, tell him to call me. Torn Tuesday, this is Justin. I will see you next week for everything, all the latest news that's fit to print. We'll see you around. Bye. Follow us on Twitter. Right? Follow us on Twitter. Because I post GIFs like this. And doesn't that GIF just make your Twitter feed so much more wonderful?